Welcome into the 9th edition of Sports Den on North Metro TV of the fall sports season. I'm Mary Rominger, joined alongside Bill Hupp. And Bill, we've made it. It's officially postseason time for all of the fall sports in Minnesota.
Yeah, forget Christmas. This is the most wonderful time of the year as all these teams from volleyball to soccer to basketball to cross country, they've all worked up to this point to get to postseason play. And we're getting into postseason play now, and a lot of teams, a lot of sports getting into their state tournaments, and that is a lot of fun. And that includes on the soccer pitch as Centennial look to win their 4th consecutive Class 3A Section 7 title when they played at top seed Blaine. Blaine defeating Centennial 2-0 at Centennial in Circle Pines earlier this season. Centennial strikes first in the first half. Addie Van Zee from distance picks out the top corner. And Centennial took a quick lead, as you see, beautiful turn here. And there was nothing the goalkeeper could do about it to give the Cougars a 1-0 lead. That would stand up for most of the game, but Kendall Stadden cannot be held down. Stadden, great strength. And of course, the All-Stater slots it home for Blaine with just 7:10 to go to tie the match at 1. Look at you, focused, great job, and just picked it out. Jordan Metz could do nothing about it as Stadden scoring big goals. They went to penalty kicks, and Nazi Bula just picks it inside the left post. Then Frankie Cratcheville answered going off of the post and in as well. There's a shot and a save. Jordan Metz saving a lot of penalties in this one and that final kick slotted home by Addie Wittenberg, the sophomore. 9 rounds of penalty kicks are what decided it, but ultimately Centennial wins and advances to its 4th straight state tournament with a 2-1 victory over Blaine.
Your goal in the first half. This team beat you early on in regular season. Now to get to go up by a goal in that first half, what feelings were brought up after you scored that goal?
Yeah, I was very excited, and I definitely didn't know it was going to go in, but once I saw the keeper jump and it went over, I was insane. Yeah.
So throughout this game, of course, you have to go through multiple overtime periods as well as a shootout, but take me through what that felt like in those overtime periods. How cold was it? What were you thinking about as that time was expiring?
It's definitely nerve-wracking, but you just got to think about scoring the goal, visualize it, and then you're good. I mean, it's cold, but you got to get that out of your head, pretty much.
And of course, you still have another season here with the Cougars, but what does this mean to be able to go back to state? You guys are not familiar with state. You guys have been numerous times, but what does this mean for you in your junior season?
I'm really excited, and it should be very fun this year as well.
Yeah. Well, congrats. We're going to pop over and talk with Jordan Metz. Of course, you love penalty shootouts. Word on the street. Coach Krista Carlson gave us the heads up, but you have done phenomenal in these situations. What do you think about when this ball is going to be shot at you?
I just imagine saving it and read their cues on where to go and when to shoot, and then happens to go good.
Yeah. And when you are having to be sitting in a game, of course, as I talked about, it is quite cold. As you can tell, I can barely talk. My lips are cold. But how do you make sure that you're making those saves? Are you thinking about anything when that ball, does it feel a lot harder? Tell everyone how hard that is to make those saves with that ball coming at you.
Well, the communication is key. It keeps me in the game, so I'm always ready for it, and that helps a lot. So yeah.
Wow. Continuing your streak of doing awesome when your team gets in these positions, because she told us now is that four times you guys have been in these penalty shootouts. But we're going to move on, talking to Addison Wittenberg as we talk about our PK shootouts. Addison Wittenberg, it came to you. The game on the line. How nervous were you as you stepped up to that line?
I was so nervous, but we practiced this a lot, and it just needed to be done after so many that I was so nervous, but I just had to make it.
Yeah. Did it help getting to see so many people? Obviously, a lot of people came up to that line and missed it today. Did that take some of the pressure off, knowing a lot of people weren't able to make that shot? So if you could, it was so big.
Yeah, it helped a little bit, but I just know that I still had to focus on myself and just make sure I could finish it off. But yeah.
Well, now you can bring that confidence into every time you step up to that line. You've done it. You've proved it to everyone that you can make it happen. But congrats on punching your team to the state tournament.
Thank you.
Expected a close matchup, but that one lived up to the expectation. Centennial celebrating and getting ready for what's to come. On the boys' side, the Blaine Bengals go head-to-head with Andover in the Section 7 3A title game. Andover gets a long ball through down low. Blaine in some trouble. Pass in front, and Fidel Gabami puts it home. A huge goal with a trip to state on the line. Later, Zach Triplett would get a chance in front off of the free kick, but nothing would come of it. Gabami's goal proved to be the game winner, paired with some great goalkeeping and great defending. Close matchup, huh, Bill?
Yeah, it sure was, as Andover defends its home turf and advances to the state tournament.
The game went pretty well. We kept coming. It was tough in the second half, but we made it through. I'm glad we did it.
How'd you feel about that goal?
I feel so good because Blaine is it used to be my school. I just moved here 2 years ago, and scoring against them feels pretty good.
It was super good. We scored pretty early in the first half. We just had to fight that half out. We were trying to get a second. At halftime, we were all hyping each other up. It was good. Second half, it was a tough fight. We were playing a lot of defense. We couldn't get a lot of options, but we held it out. We stuck it through, and they didn't get scored on.
Man, I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier to win a game with these guys. We worked so hard all year. We fought for each other. I died for these boys.
As we take a look at the Section 7 Class 3A girls soccer bracket, a lot of the top seeds holding, but Centennial, in what was probably the best section final around the state, gets its revenge and again wins its fourth straight section title. They'll advance to the state tournament where they will take on Edina. They're the fourth seed Centennial is this year. They take on the fifth seed Edina. Wayzata, potential rematch with them in the state semifinals. Of course, those two teams met in the state quarterfinals last year. Centennial defeating the Trojans on penalty kicks, and even a rematch with Stillwater, which was the state championship game that Centennial lost last year, is a possibility as well, as a lot of familiar faces. Stillwater and Rosemount, STMA, Wayzata, Edina, Centennial, all returning to the state tournament, as it seems like year in and year out, those schools do battle for the state crown.
It'll be pretty crazy. Well, quick mention, the girls soccer postseason awards. First team All-State, Kendall Stadden of Blaine, Sydney Sutherland of Blaine, Addie Van Zee for Centennial. Second team All-State, Devin Torgerson, Blaine midfielder, Marissa Frost for Centennial. And the Section 5 3A Coach of the Year, Mindy Daughtery of Spring Lake Park.
Yeah, Mindy Daughtery, fantastic job by her, but Blaine, 3 All-Staters, 6 All-Conference players. Kendall Stadden, a finalist, of course, as you see them at their awards ceremony, receiving their respective awards for those All-State nominees. And it just goes to show you, Mary, how much soccer talent we have in the metro area.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, the anticipation for that Centennial Blaine girls soccer matchup was high, and it all lived up to the hype, and great recognition for all of the athletes at the end of it.
As we take a look at the Section 7 boys bracket, and the seeds did hold up here. Centennial pulling the only upset of Section 7, Andover and Blaine, in what was an expected good game. And the Blaine transfer, Fidel Gabami's goal in the first half, ended up standing up. Nolan Meyer pitching his 7th shutout of the season, keeping his 7th clean sheet in front of a stout Husky defense. Bengals pushed. They tried to get the game-tying goal, but ultimately they could not. They fall in a heartbreaker. So a tough night for the Bengals, losing 2-1 in the penalty shootout to Centennial, and 1-0 on the boys' side on the road. So, but the future of Blaine soccer, pretty bright. They returned some interesting players, including Sydney Sutherland, who is just a junior.
Oh, nice. That's great to hear. Yeah, I mean, emotional title games to come out. And now next is state, so you have to have a short memory and get ready to go on and take it to the next level.
Yep, no question about it. And speaking of taking it to the next level, that's what some of our local high school football teams are hoping to do or have been looking to do, including Spring Lake Park, which was playing for the Suburban Blue Championship at Robbinsdale Armstrong on Wednesday night. Top 10 matchup, first quarter, Panthers driving, and Mary, it must be Halloween because that DB has seen a ghost. He bites on the head fake by Braden Talso, keeps it, dashes 37 yards for the score. They'd missed the kick and lead it 6-0. Talso in the second quarter does it again to put the Panthers up by 2 scores. Panthers go for 2, and look at this nice snag by Kayshawn Green to get the conversion. 14-0 SLP in the second quarter. Then Panthers going for tricks instead of treats on the next drive as wide receiver Mikey Say finds Talso down the sideline for 6. Look at the touch on that pass. Robbinsdale Armstrong would get a touchdown back with 20 seconds to go before half, but the Panthers defense, led by Kyrie Shaw's 3 sacks and forced fumble, holds up, and the 21-6 halftime score was how it finished. Spring Lake Park gets the top seed in Section 6. They win the Suburban Blue Championship with a 6-2 record, 21-6, a big win over the Armstrong Falcons, who again were a top 5 team going into that game. As you look at the totals, Braden Talso, and now we'll look at that Section 6 football bracket. There you see Spring Lake Park on the top line. Look out for the Rogers Royals in that 3rd seed, as they have been really good, played a tough schedule, a couple losses there to Andover and Elk River, but the Royals very tough, and they very much could meet Spring Lake Park in that section championship. But SLP, if they hold serve, they've got 2 wins to make it to yet another state tournament under head coach John Stewart.
Gotta love that first round bye.
Yes.
Heading into playoff action.
Yep, no question about it.
Well, scoring is at a premium in this Week 8 matchup on the gridiron between Centennial and Woodbury. The Cougars come in hot with 3 straight wins. Centennial takes a 3-0 lead into halftime courtesy of this 25-yard field goal booted in by senior Eli Nowacki. In the third quarter, the Cougars add to the lead. Junior fullback Marcus Whitting punches in the first touchdown of the game from 1 yard out. Royals fire right back. Woodbury QB George Bagelos finds Jackson Knock 16 yards up the middle to make it a 10-7 ball game. Centennial back in the red zone. Dalen Cummings on the keeper, tackled across the goal line to retake the 10-point lead. The Royals trying to rally. Bagelos hits Quinton Cobb Butler in the end zone. Not enough though. Centennial wins 17-14.
Blaine, as we take a look at the football game summary.
Yep, Centennial pounded out 263 yards on the ground in this slim victory, Bill. And they finish out the season 6-2. The first half field goal proved to be that difference maker, and it's back-to-back weeks of close games for the Cougars. It was 8-7 over Minnetonka last week, and Cougars win the 2 seed. We'll talk more about that when we look at the brackets.
Yeah, Marcus Whiting, a new threat in the backfield, and this Cougars team defending well and also rushing the football, and those are 2 recipes for success once you get into playoff time. Meanwhile, Blaine visiting Osseo in the regular season finale, and there goes Michael Douglas and his fast feet juking through the Orioles defense for a first quarter score. Douglas toted the rock 29 times for 167 yards and a touchdown. Orioles respond with a special teams tally. A.J. Miller booting one through the uprights from 37 yards out. Very Halloween-y uniforms they're wearing. Second quarter, Frank Daniels finds Tyler Terry on the wide receiver screen, and he does the rest from 20 yards out to put Blaine up 14-3. Second half now. Daniels goes up top to 6'7" Zach Schusted on the fade, and the big fella comes down with it to extend Blaine's lead to 21-3. Osseo would push across a couple Devin Williams rushing scores in the second half, but ultimately it would not be enough. Blaine wins it 21-16 to cap a 4-4 regular season. Bengals balanced on offense, rushing for 189 yards and throwing it for 172. How about Frank Daniels? An absurdly efficient 8 for 10 for 172 yards and 2 scores. Schusted, as we said, with that touchdown catch, spreading it around, getting it in the hands of their playmakers. And Blaine with a big game against Edina, which we'll have for you on North Metro TV on Friday night. As we take a look at that 6A football bracket, and Mary, would you look at that? We could have a cat clash in round 2, a rematch between Centennial and Blaine if both seeds hold. Centennial hosting Park of Cottage Grove, Blaine hosting the Edina Hornets, in what should be a pretty intriguing matchup. Other side of the bracket, the number 2 team in state, the Rosemont Fighting Irish, potentially awaiting either Centennial or Blaine down the road, but we got a lot of football to play before then.
Yep. For the Cougars, Cottage Grove is 3-5 on the season. Centennial just wrapped up a 6-2 season, so we'll see how it all plays out. Exciting stuff.
As we take a look at the football standings in the Metro Gold North, Centennial trailing top-ranked Maple Grove, but that's it. And Blaine, despite having just a 2-4 record in the Metro Gold North, and these are the final standings, of course, for the regular season now that the 8 games have wrapped up. But Blaine, because they got some key wins, they're the 3rd seed in their section, and they get a home matchup, as we said, against Edina. How about the Suburban Blue? That is where Spring Lake Park, Mary?
Yep, Spring Lake Park had a efficient and perfect 3-0 conference record, 6-2 on the season, and they'll have that first round bye, so a little bit of rest after a long, tough 8-week regular season to go out and get things right before the second round of the postseason.
Indeed, and they will play on Saturday afternoon against either Irondale or Park Center. So we'll have that for you, of course, on North Metro TV as well.
Absolutely. Well, the Centennial volleyball program tries to continue its very strong season with a few games left on their schedule as of these past week's matchups. The playoffs are in sight, and at this point, just down to 2 regular season games. As I mentioned, the Cougars are in Roseville trying to bounce back from a loss from Zembruda Mazeppa. Raiders building a lead early in the opening set. Camille Krupp with the roll shot exposes the gap. Roseville point. Centennial climbing back. We're tied up at 15. Sneak attack in front gives the Cougars the lead. Fast forward to set point. Roseville attacks from the back row, and Andy Klosowski finishes on the outside. Cougars win set 1 to set 2 now. Centennial met with the wall on the re-attack. Great shot for the Cougars point. Later, it's Roseville keeping it interesting with the tip, taking advantage of that tip there. But another set point for Centennial. Elena Hecky from the middle, one of her team leading 11 kills in the match. Cougars trying to notch their 21st win of the season here in set 3. It's all Cougars in this final set early. You'll see a nice kill from the outside. Boom, an absolute laser in the middle on that one. And Centennial goes on to sweep Roseville in straight sets. A strong season for the Cougars. Just 4 losses on the season, and they picked up a win over Elk River in their last win on the year. So a very effective year for Centennial before the postseason begins. McClellan with 26 assists, Klosowski 14 kills. Excuse me, I said Hecky was the team leader in kills, but it was Klosowski, Peterson, 14 digs, and a great way to finish off what was the last week of the regular season.
Yeah, no question. A lot of momentum for Centennial as we take a look at the Section 7 Class 4A volleyball bracket. And there are the Cougars as the number 1 seed. Blaine gets the 5th seed. It was a role reversal last year as these 2 teams met in the section semifinals last year. Centennial was the 4 seed. Blaine was the top seed. Regardless, it's going to be settled at Blaine High School for the section championship on November 3rd. But again, Andover, a decent squad. Forest Lake, a lot of depth in this Section 7. But Centennial with a record of 22-4, led by their sophomore sensation, Elena Hecky, and some veteran presence in McClellan and Kozlowski. They have a real chance to go far, and they may be slept on a little bit on the statewide volleyball scene with all the attention paid to the schools down south. But Centennial with a real chance to prove a point about the volleyball that they play up north.
Oh yeah, and then whatever happens with that Blaine-Anoka game, I mean the 4 and 5 seed, but nonetheless, the title game being, or excuse me, that one game being in Blaine, the section title game, right in the backyard of North Metro TV. That'll be fun. The energy all around the area with the teams, especially Centennial making the postseason and some of their fall sports, some great stuff.
Yeah, and of course we hope at least one of those schools will be in Blaine competing for that section championship. But first things first, more important matters. We've got our Halloween show next week.
We do. I can't wait. I don't know if I'm going to dress up. I don't know what the energy here is at North Metro TV. Do we dress up?
Yes, usually tandem costumes, like I think Bert and Ernie, or George and Jerry, whatever you want to do, or whatever floats your boat.
I'm excited about it. That's awesome.
But we're going to do something entertaining for you, and we'll have that episode for you, episode 10 of season 20, coming up next week. In the meantime, from Mary Rominger, I'm Bill Hupp. Thanks for joining us inside Sports Den.